To our Not For Anything podcast listeners, please be advised that the following conversations deal with topics of misogyny, sexism, sexual harassment, and sexual assault. If you feel uncomfortable or triggered when it comes to discussions of sexual assault or harassment, please feel free to take breaks if needed. This episode was not chosen for the purposes of exposing or threatening others. We're not interested in creating any negativity. Instead, we have a specific focus on the aftermath and impact sexual assault can have on its victims. These are simply our stories to tell.
We plan our topics based off of our life experience, things we feel passionate or excited about, and sometimes things that just need to be said. To be clear, our personal encounters with sexual assault occurred 2 years apart from each other and on separate occasions. And though our experiences were physical, we want to be clear that we are not victims of rape. It is our hope that anyone who has experienced assault or harassment can relate to our feelings and find this episode contributive to their healing process.
All right, welcome to part B. So for this part of the episode, we want to get a little bit more personal. So we're just going to start off with like who we are, because for those of you who know us, we are not the most quiet, easygoing women, you know, especially when like we really, really care about whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to kind of like keep the reins on and like not be like controlling.
I'm controlling.
You're controlling.
But I think we come up, I get this all the time that I'm very intimidating when I don't mean to be.
People tell me I'm intimidating more than they tell me, like, more than they say my name.
Yeah, and this is why we say we rank, because I know us, and we are just like being polite, we are being friendly, we are being, and just people that's weird, or if like we're in a leadership position, we're coming on like way too strong, but we would be doing the same thing our male peers would be doing, so it's...
Or doing them better, like doing it better, and it's like just, like I'm always so taken aback because like, and maybe I'm just delusional, but I feel like I'm so freaking nice to people. Like, I try to be so accommodating and so easygoing and just like, oh, you didn't do anything I asked you to do today? No, that's fine. Yeah, okay, so like, let's just figure out a plan to like figure, like, I do not freak out. Or like, if things are going wrong, it's like all internal stress, but I'm not yelling at anybody and people are still like, no, you're so intimidating. It's like you want to see intimidating? I'll show you intimidating. Are you kidding?
Be under the most immense amount of pressure, but keep it fucking together.
And still have a smile on our face and still be like, okay, how are we going to fix it?
Exactly. Yeah. We get it the fuck together. When again, and we said this last week, that we've seen our male peers throw full ass temper tantrums, treat people like shit, fucking freak out.
And everyone's like, oh, but he's stressed.
But he's stressed. Yeah, but if I'm stressed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then I need to buck up. You fucking buck up.
So someone said this to me this past year, and like, bless your heart if you're watching this. I know you didn't mean it, but it stuck with me, and it's funny, but it's my entire life in one sentence. But I walked into a room, and this person turned to me and said, oh my God, every time I see you, I'm filled with fear and warmth at the same time. And I was like, that's my entire life. It's just me instilling fear, but warmth. Like, for everybody. They're both scared of me and love me at the same time.
Yeah.
They should be afraid of how much they love me.
I feel like sometimes people treat me like I'm almost like the principal. You know when like you were in elementary school and the principal came by, you're like, hi miss, whatever. I feel like that's how sometimes people are with me, like, oh hey. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking punch you. There was one time in high school, I like was joking with a girl, you know who I'm talking about, who was really pissing me off because I was a bully apparently. And I just like joked, I was like, what? And like, and I was kidding with her, and she genuinely flinched. Like, we were in English class. What did she think I was gonna do? Fucking throw hands in English class?
That's
and
what I
beat
mean.
her up? And she's like, you're just very intimidating and scary. I was like, fat joke. But I was like, I would never, like, I was hurt because I'd known this girl for like a few years, and I was like, I would never hit someone.
That's what I mean. It's that like people are like, it's almost like they still don't know us. Even when they know us, they still kind of assume the worst. Like one girl said to me like, oh my God, Jess, if I was ever in a fight with you, like I'd be terrified. And I'm like, I am the most sensitive, like empathetic, like I'm a baby. Like when my friends hurt, like I like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry. Or like when people hurt my feelings, I'm just like I'm just like they just said I was mean. I'm very sensitive, and like it's the fact that people still think we're gonna punch someone in the face. It's like, when have I ever been known to like get violent or like scream at someone?
Don't get me wrong. I have definitely channeled, like when I'm taking transit alone or walking alone at night or like, I have channeled that energy so people don't like, because I have to. You have to do that to survive. You know how many times I've walked around with my keys in my hand and like
I walk like this.
You channel your broness.
Like baggy jacket. I have like the key in my you have to.
But I've never channeled it into any other situation that wouldn't be potentially dangerous. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm forced to act that way in public situations so I'm not sexually harassed, even though I have been sexually harassed or like verbally harassed whilst like having that persona.
Yeah.
But like I would never bring it into like a personal conversation. And the fact that people think I would is like, why do you think I'm going to hit you like right here in this classroom?
And I just have like, I think maybe we just have like resting bitch face too, where it's like, I've been told that like when I walk, like I walk with like such intensity, and I think it's just because I'm like, I don't want anyone to fuck with me. Like it comes from such a place of like fear. It doesn't come from a place of like, I think I'm the shit. It's like, oh my God, like please don't yell at me.
Do you
like,
ever walk past a group of guys at night? I used to do this when I was in grade 8.
My heart drops every time.
I pretend to go on the phone and I'm talking with my father, who is the chief of police. My father's a fucking accountant or something.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat. Again, I don't even know what he does. He deals with fucking finances. But it's like I have to pretend that like someone's gonna get potentially hurt, not by me, if they bother me. But I've still been in situations where I walk past a group of people, always men, and I'm still harassed, and I still have the persona in, and I turn around, like, I want to turn around.
Have you ever been told to smile?
Pardon?
Have you ever been told to smile?
Once, by an old man.
Yeah.
Like, I was working with it because I was stressed out of my bananas, so I was like freaking running around the work site, and he went, hey, stop for a second. I was like, what? And he went, yeah, because he was a vendor, and he was like, just smile. And I was like, bye, and then I left.
When I was in high school, I walked home from school every day, and there was, I'll never forget it, because there were these two guys walking towards me, and there was one guy behind both of them that like wasn't with them, and I was like, okay, one out of the three has to be good, so if anything happens to me, I should be fine, hopefully. The two guys passed me and kind of like checked me out, whatever. I was like, okay. And the other guy was kind of like looking at me like with a smile, and I was like, oh, so you're like the nice guy, right? He walked right up to me and went, smile. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm crazy to think for a second that I would have been safe. I'm actually insane to think that one of them wasn't going to say something.
No,
all three of them had to do fucking something.
I don't trust any groups of like men that I see when I'm walking past them, especially like, and you just said it, like you can feel them checking you out, but you don't do anything about it. Like, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
What do you say? I mean,
you don't say anything.
You don't say anything. You walk past it, you feel awkward because you feel eyes on you. You're going to throw hands. They're going to say, oh, what? I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't even looking at you. You have no way of proving it, and you seem crazy. Or you seem like the type of person that thinks the world revolves around you.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, you can't say anything.
Yeah.
You can't say anything. I don't know. I don't trust. I think you and I, like, I know you, Jess. We both have a lot of built up resentment. I think a lot of things have happened to us in our lives. And I have really lost like a lot of the trust and that I once had.
Yeah.
With I don't mean to say strange men, but men who are strangers that I'm meeting for the first time. I try to think the best of them, but like, you know, again, channel my broness, make sure we're cool so I don't get harassed. But then when that like comment is made, it's like, I thought you were different. And it's like, I feel stupid for even like having
You
hope.
feel so dumb because you're like, when am I going to learn the lesson that like you can't, and like, yeah, it's like people just don't give you that credit where it's like shit probably happened to you to make you like feel that way or assume those things. And it's like, you're absolutely right, shit happened to me, which is why I'm angry and which is why I'm like,
It's why we've been so held back these past
And,
2
like,
episodes, because we don't know how to properly talk about it and articulate our thoughts. Okay, anyways.
And, like, why I have, like, trust issues and, like, why, like, just, like, why we are the way we fucking are. And it's, like, we're not bad people, but people, like, everyone just wants you to be the nice girl. And it's like, I was. And that didn't get me anywhere. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay. I was, and it's just like, you just feel like such an idiot because you're like, why?
Why did I believe it?
Yeah, like I grew up in this fantasy world where like you just hear these horrible stories that happen to girls and you're like, well, that's just not going to be me because I'm smarter than that and I'm this and I'm that and whatever. And then it happens to you and you're like I can't even like explain the shame when you just feel like you failed yourself.
And what's the worst part is that, like, well, because I know what you're talking about, and, like, someone failed you multiple times. You know, you did not fail yourself. There was nothing.
And I was more mad at myself than I was at that person.
Well, it's the same as, like, I shouldn't have been drinking.
Yeah.
But he should have known better. And,
should we just, okay, so people who are listening, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, I feel like I can't say it, like I feel like I'm getting, okay. So shit happened to us when we were in high school. Which is, like, not unheard of for girls in high school. Shit happens to a lot of us. But, like, I'm a very private person. You know? You know this. Like, I do not really rush into things. I'm very thoughtful about how I go about things. I make good choices. Like, I've always been very proud of the fact that, like, I don't make my life, like, a joke. Like, I do things so that I don't have to live with regrets and that I can go to sleep at the end of the day and just feel good about myself. So I'm not someone that ever got into trouble. And so after having, how do you talk about this? I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't
know either.
So when you're like that and you're 16 and you're sexually assaulted, and you are not known to be a liar, and you're not known to be someone that is, like, impulsive and dumb and, like, oh, when she goes out, she just does, like, whatever. When you have spent your entire life building up a reputation for yourself, and then realize that you cannot rely on that reputation to save you when something happens, and you go, like, hey, this happened to me, and people are like, I don't believe you. It's like the biggest disappointment because you're like, what did I do to not be believed? Like, I've done everything to have that kind of credit. You know, it's like when someone you love dies and you're like, how is the sun going to come up tomorrow? My entire world was completely flipped. And it was like I woke up the next morning and nothing had changed. And no one else's life had changed, just mine. And I was like, this doesn't affect anybody. My friend's life, like their lives didn't change after that happened. It was like no one even batted an eye. And I felt like I was like thrown into the ocean. I don't know where to go from here.
Sorry, I wanted to give you the space to talk because I get it. Like, it was different for me. It was the same person. It was like out of nowhere. I was like, 1 second, this person is my friend, and like same thing. I've never been at the time what we would call like that girl. You know, I made choices to not have regrets. I was aware and proud of decisions that I made. I stood behind
so smart. Yeah.
We were smart. We did everything right. And for your friend to come out of nowhere and do that to you is like the biggest slap in the face. And then for it to be like hyped up by everybody around you, like, oh yeah, it's like, no, I didn't want that. I wasn't in the mind to want that. I didn't want that at all. What's the line? Where is it heard and believed? There's no line for it. Yeah. And, you know, and you and I, in trying to heal from this, have spoken about, you know, if it was just 4 years ago, and like, how far have we come in the dialogue when this happens, and the repercussions that happen now? But at the time, it was so different.
It was different. This was like such a different
You and I
conversation.
both know the days, like the exact days.
The exact days. And it's like, I remember like looking up like on Google, like sexual assault, like how do you know you've been sexually assaulted? And like, there weren't all these like resources that pop up nowadays. It was like, you'd go on like a police academy website and like maybe find something. Like, it was nothing. And it was like very clinical, the way they told you to handle it. And so my mom is in social services, and she's a social worker, and so she like was always very like straight with me about just like, if something happens to you, you tell this person, and like, you tell me, like, like she just like, I always knew that like, you tell. You don't be quiet about it, you tell. And I told people. And I was just like, okay, so this happened to me, and now I tell people. That's the next thing I'm supposed to do. And I wasn't prepared for people to be like, well, I don't believe you. Well, dude, it's your fault. I was like, it's my fault. Oh.
But I said no.
Oh, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that. I thought like, as soon as you said something, you were just supposed to be believed, because I was naive. I was so naive. And like, to tell your like, even your closest friends who like, obviously I forgive them now, because again, it was such a different time. I understand why they didn't get it, but it was such a lonely time for me, because I just felt like, I don't know.
I feel like you did something wrong when you were trying to do everything right.
I felt like but I never felt like I did something. I felt like I was at fault for some of the things that happened, but I mostly just felt like, how does no one know me? I felt like the person I am and the person people became friends with didn't matter, because otherwise they would have believed me if they really knew me. But they didn't. And like, I remember one of the things that really sucked, and this is gonna be a huge call out, so I'm sorry, but like, the next day, it was like, it went into the weekend before we went back to school, right? So I spent that weekend just like processing it and being like, what the fuck? And I just like, I couldn't wrap my brain around like what happened. And I was just like, okay, so when I go to school, I'm gonna confront him. It's gonna, you know what I mean? I was like, no one knows, this is very private. And I went through the school day with people staring at me and like giving me all these looks. And I was like, what's happening right now? And I found out at the end of that school day that what happened, his side of the story of what happened, had been announced in front of everybody we went to school with, who knew me, who like actually knew me. And the only questions people had to ask me were just like, so you hooked up with him? That was the question I got. And then I would tell them what actually happened, and it was like, she hooked up with them. And it's like, it's what you said too, where it's just like, being that angry is so bad for you, but I'm still so angry. Like, I still don't think people realize like the impact it has.
Seeing, you know, because we know a lot of people in his network, seeing like an image of him when I've done everything to block him out of it, like hits a part of me that makes me angry, sad. I want to cry. I want to scream. I want to throw eggs. I want to... I want to fucking go to his house because I know where you live. You know, I know your family. I fucking want to go up to your mom and tell her what you fucking did and watch the disappointment on her face, and hopefully you get fucking arrested because you're a fucking creep. But, like, I want the world to turn against you. Like, I turned against myself. And, like, you felt people turned against you.
Yeah.
Because I know your pain. Because I called you after it happened and I said, I believe you.
Yeah.
Because it just happened to me.
And you were the first person that called me and said, I believe you. But it's so heartbreaking that, like, sometimes it just takes it happening to you before you're like, it's possible. It's possible for people that you think are good and, like, funny and, like, who you're friends with. When you're friends with them, it's like you're like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like you're so frozen. I'm just like, is this happening right now? Like, your brain cannot process it. And it's like, people just always ask me, like, well, why didn't you? Well, why didn't you? Well, why didn't you do this and that or the other? It's like, because he was my friend and I didn't know what to do and I never experienced anything like that, and I'm not that person. Everyone knows I wasn't that kind of, like, I've never been like that. So I was just like, what made him think that oh my God, what's happening right now? And it's just like, you feel so betrayed and so shocked. And it all happens, like, so fast, but it's, like, also happening in slow motion. And it's like,
because I had been drinking when my situation had happened and he wasn't, when I came to, I realized what was happening, I threw up. But I remember being in the bathroom and, like, having my friend there at the time and her being like, you're just drunk. I said, I'm disgusted. And I was like, holy guys, I can't believe you did that. And I was, like, hurling because I was, like, purely sick to my stomach because I can hold my alcohol. Because I was so disgusted. Everyone kept saying, you're just drunk. We're going to call your sister to come pick you up. I said, I can't believe you did that to me. I had visible markings from it. Showing that to my mom and, like, my sister was like, I'm gonna fucking kill this kid. You know, seeing that, but not having it understood to the level that it actually was, and it being seen just as, like, a hookup, but it, like, fully wasn't.
You just feel like, why is no one running around?
Why
is no one panicking? Like, are you just not, like, it didn't, no one batted an eye. No. And it's just that feeling of, like, my life just changed. I'm not the same person.
Yeah.
I'm not the nice girl anymore. I'm angry. And you know what? I want to be a bitch. But it came to that point where we were just like, no, you know what? Fuck everyone. Fuck everyone. And it gets really dark. And, like, I think you and I have done a really great job. Like, I think about, like, I'm kind of proud of us for, like, not getting really bitter about it to the point where, like, we don't let people in. Well, I mean, I'm one to talk.
I've seen you grow from that. I've seen you recognize that and work on that. You've seen me, and I've seen myself find ways to avoid that pain.
Yeah.
And, you know, experience other pain that worsens it all. And, like, it takes a second to, like, find yourself in that. But I'm so proud of us in how we've grown from it. And yeah, we could be so much better about it.
Maybe why we get so triggered when people think, like, we're bitches or we're this or that is because, like, I'm trying so hard to not be.
Yeah.
You don't even know how hard I'm trying to, like, not be angry and, like, hate everyone. I'm, like, actively trying to be, like, so lovely and have compassion and not assume the worst in people. But it's really hard to not do that when you've been, like, let down so many times.
Yeah.
And it's, like, even just the fact that, like, you and I, like, work so hard, it's just because we're, like, because work is the one place where we just are good at it and we can just do it, and it's, like, we can turn our brains off for a second, like,
and something else preoccupies it. But then we get spoken over and mansplained at work. So, hey, you can't fucking win, am I right?
Yeah. Like, they don't even realize, like, how forgiving we are. Because we're, like, we don't want them to feel less than. Even though they make us feel that way. I could have, like, we could have done so much.
We could have burned the fucking, like,
yeah,
house to the ground. Not, like, literally, but figuratively.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We fucking stayed quiet. Well,
there could have been serious consequences for certain people in our,
experience.
But we just didn't do anything. Because I was more worried about protecting people that hurt me.
As opposed to protecting yourself.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. My vagina's angry. My eyeliner's running.
This has been a lot.
But I love you.
I love you. I love you so much.
And I'll always believe you.
Thank you.
Just to wrap this up.
This is so much, yeah.
Just to wrap this up. We know this part B has been a lot to digest. And if you can take anything back from this, don't stay quiet, because we did. And it made us the people who we are. And, it's a choice that I don't regret at this point, because, I'm stronger for it. But now the world has come so far in just 4 years, and there you have the resources and you have a support team. Even if it's the PR support team, that person will be out of your life, so you don't have a visual trigger every time you go into the same place. So if there's one thing you can do, speak the fuck up and get that asshole out of your life. Whoever it is, doesn't have to be a man. It could be anybody, but get them the fuck out of your life.
And, like, one of the things, if there's any sort of silver lining in this, which I know it's like, I wish it didn't happen. I'm not saying that I'm glad it did. But that experience, I was able to have conversations with other girls. Like, I was able to just have my toe in the pond in a way. Yeah. I was included in those kinds of conversations because I had a personal experience, and so I got to connect with, like, having this connection with you is something that you don't, like, it brings a depth to my life to know that I can truly empathize with other women and see them and not think, well, that doesn't happen to me. That doesn't happen to my friends. Because it can happen to anybody.
So stand up for yourself. Don't take that shit. Stand up for your fucking self.
Stand up for yourself.
Show them the receipts, out that asshole, and get Trump out of office.
And it's not your fault.
It's not your fault. And you know what? You are fucking special. There, I said it. I knew you thought I wasn't. Jess, what can I say?
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's been a pleasure as always.
It's always a pleasure.
I love you. I can't wait to cry as soon as we turn these cameras off.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I love you.
I love you.